We have Board Member Lou Petrucci, who will be facilitating this meeting. He's the chair of this committee. We have Board Member Larry Scott, in City Hall with Board Member Petrucci. We have Board Member Terrence Hurd and Board Member Jim McCosey, present and accounting for, Dr. Chisholm, and myself, who work in the Office of Shared Accountability. And so it is officially 4:37, sir. The floor is yours.
I'm sorry, we have Board Member Kathy Evans Brown, Dr. Brown. She'll be coming in. She's calling in now for the quorum.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hurd.
Okay.
All right, let me share my screen with you, and then can you see?
Yes.
All right. Let me know if I need to make it bigger.
Make it bigger, please.
All right. Excellent. I'll make it the full screen. So, okay, and so.
Slideshow.
Oops. Yeah. So I wasn't sure how detailed information you wanted to learn, but I prepared a short presentation. We'll give you an overview of what we're trying to do in Buffalo. So again, the name of our school is, the proposed school will be Royal Academy of Buffalo. And we are proposing an elementary school K through 5. And first year, we'll start with kindergarten and first grade, and with 150 students at full capacity in about 4 or 5 years, then it will be hopefully 450. And please, stop me if you want to ask any question. Just feel free that I don't want to just talk all the time. So in terms of our mission is to really empower our students and spark their curiosity. I think what I realized in my experience doing, charter schools, I realized that a lot of our kids come to school with a lot of curiosity, but then for some reason we just kind of diminish their curiosity throughout their school life. So that's what my intention is, to help them spark their curiosity with rigorous and well-rounded education, and then we can give them skills and drive necessary so they can accomplish in their lifetime. We have 3 overarching goals. One foremost is establish and maintain high academic attainment and for continuous improvement. And second goal is to establish and maintain engaging and inclusive and supportive environment for all students, regardless of their background and their needs, special needs, whether ESL, special ed, ELL. And then lastly, establish and maintain school that well-run and organizations that are capable of sustaining long-term success. And we propose 4 unique program in this model. First one is holistic education through Stream 360. Stream 360 stands for STEM education plus reading, art, and social emotional learning. So this is a unique model that I personally coined this program because I didn't really talk about myself. I started my first adventure in charter school movement 20 years ago, almost 2 decades ago, in Houston, Texas. I started my first school there with 200 students. We were the first STEM school, I can say, in Texas, first STEM schools, because STEM became a buzzword back then, and we quickly grow and increase our capacity. But I realized over the course of 2 decades that STEM alone is not the answer. So we wanted to, especially lately, recently, social emotional learning became an interesting component of our public education. I felt that combining STEM with SEL and reading art are essential as basically a whole child approach. And obviously, second is 360, that project-based learning. It's a component that you cannot talk about STEM education without project-based learning. Third is Royal Blocks. Again, it's a kind of unique program that I developed over the course of several years. We want to implement Royal Blocks. It's a time set aside in any given day, about 90 minutes for ELA and math to provide personalized learning within that Royal Block. And last is continuous improvement through Deming Cycle. Deming Cycle is used in business industry to basically improve education at every level, school level, student level, or program level. We will be utilizing that in our program. In terms of growth, you can see this table. We want to make sure that we grow slowly so we can implement and provide best results. We start with kindergarten and first grade, 3 sections in each grade level, 75 students and total of 150 first year, and the enrollment will grow every year, adding 1 grade until K5. Any questions so far? All right. This is our anticipated population structure, knowing that Buffalo City School District's demographics. I feel that we're going to have higher percentages of African American, maybe same amount of Hispanic, and less Asian and white students in our school. And I think this is, again, it's anticipated numbers, but based on the current charter schools and the demographics of Buffalo, City of Buffalo. In terms of education plan, again, we believe that STEM education, if it's really methodically and strategically integrated with reading art, and really can create pathways for everybody, and that pathway to college and workplace and a successful life beyond. I talked about 4 key design elements: holistic approach covering 360 through project-based learning, Royal Block, and continuous improvement. Obviously, we, in addition to 4 core subject areas, we're going to offer a lot of, fine arts, physical education, health, and technology education. And career technology. Even at the elementary school, maybe 4th to 5th grade, we want to make sure that students are able to learn coding. They can build robots and build a lot of, gadgets that, hands-on project-based learning. In terms of fiscal plan, this is, I think, my last slide. It's, based on 150 students, this is the total revenue that we anticipate. And every 5 years, that as we increase our enrollment, we want to make sure that we have a balanced budget and as we operate our schools. So, I mean, that's really what I prepare, and I'm happy to, take any questions if you need any additional follow-up question. I just didn't want to take a lot of time with the presentation and bore you. So just, I'm here to answer any question that you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tareem. Charter schools are never boring. Do we have any questions from my fellow board members? Mr. Scott, I'll begin with you.
Thank you, Dr. Tareem. Did I say your name correctly?
Soner, please. Soner, S-O-N-E-R.
So I think my first question I'm going to start with, when you showed your expected enrollment numbers, you had, I think, a 23% enrollment for students with disabilities, which I think is a pretty high expectation. There's not a single charter school here in Buffalo that has that goal or has reached that limit. It's been a major issue with underrepresentation of students with disabilities in our charter schools. And so can you explain more how you would see your charter school being different than the current charter schools in reaching that enrollment rate?
That is an excellent question in terms of really this is the core heart of what how we are different than many other schools that I'm proposing. So first and foremost, a lot of charter schools started. I mean, no blame for any other people because we are all public schools. I mean, they may not know what it takes to engage those parents of everyone, and parents of especially special education, students or ELS students. One of the reasons that you see less percentage of, special ed students in charter schools, one, a lot of parents, if they are happy with their schools with special ed teachers, they tend not to move their children, right? They want to make sure that their children, their most, really treasure are being taken care of by brand new school. And they are always, when I talk to them, they are always hesitant to send their children to a new environment because adjustment is very difficult for them, and they know that. But if you, as a founder, I mean, I have 20 years experience, if you talk those parents and answer them properly and tell them that you have capacity to serve those students, regardless of what they need in terms of like whether it's a learning disability or a mental retarded. I mean, every one of those spectrum that I experienced personally, and we can be able to serve those students. I mean, if the parents hear from you, from the school leader, from the board, that those kids are going to be taken care of, then they will come to you. And because special education parents, special education students, the very first thing that they want to look is safety, security, and structure in the school. When those parents come to you during open house meetings and they realize that there is a place for them and teacher is there, and then special education coordinator is there to answer their question comfortably, confidently, I think you will see equal number of special ed in your school. That's to me is the key, and to get same percentage of students and parents. Obviously, by federal law, we have to do child find programs. A lot of new startups, charter schools, they are not aware. They need to implement child find program because it's in the law. I mean, all those things that you will find experienced people will take care of that. That you will end up with the same amount of, same percentages, whether any school you go. I don't know if I answered.
Will your school provide a full continuum of special education services, such as self-contained classrooms for kids with severe disabilities?
Yes, sir. I mean, by law, that's what I tell. When I hire special education coordinator and special education teacher, I want to make sure that they are capable of providing all services. What I usually do, I hire those people prior to I hire before any other teacher, a special ed, coordinator who can understand how to, basically prepare IEPs, how they need to know everything about special education rules and regulation, so that there is a seamless services, interruption services from, either any school that they're coming from, whether it's the Buffalo City Schools or any other schools. We need to be able to continue. And obviously, not every special education teacher will be able to provide all services. That's why, we contract with outside vendors, if necessary, work with Buffalo City Schools to figure out how we can, work together to serve our students without any interruption of services.
Can you point me to where in your application it says that you'll provide a 6-to-1, 8-to-1, 12-1, or 15-to-1 classroom for students with severe disabilities?
You mean in the application?
In your charter application to the New York State Education Department.
I don't think in the application it specifically talks about the percentages for special education students. It talks about overall ratio, but there is no place in the application that we had to provide that ratio, at least to my knowledge. Okay.
So at this point, you're not prepared to provide those type of classrooms for kids with severe disabilities?
No, we are prepared. We are prepared to provide services to any special education students who come to our door. We are.
But not those particular classrooms.
I'm not sure if I understand your question. As long as a special education student come to our door, we are prepared to provide every service that is required by IEP for a specialist student.
But your application does not include a 6-to-1, 8-to-1, or 12-to-1, or 15-to-1 placement.
Application does not ask us to provide that number. If it becomes a requirement, certainly we will put in the application. But as I mentioned, anything about special education services we will include and will serve our students.
All right, I just want to share that I have my doubts in regards to this because in some of the research I did, I saw that one of your charter schools was denied by the Texas State Education Board. And one of the reasons or the rationale that they provided was they were not confident that students with disabilities would be included and that particular students would be denied admission to the school. I'm going to jump though to my next question because.
But before you jump on, you make a statement which is not accurate, sir. I have to clarify. You have to specifically tell me which school that you're referring. And I have never had any school denied, any campus denied for specialist services. That's not correct. You have to tell me the campus name. I can, specifically tell you exactly which campus you're referring.
It was a charter school for Austin, Texas, Royal Charter School for Austin, Texas.
There's no, to my knowledge, in Texas, charters are, given to basically all together. It's not separate application, but.
Okay. So my next question has to do about your familiarity with Buffalo. In your application, you mentioned that Buffalo is the perfect place for charter incubation. What did you mean by that?
Sure, because based on what student achievement, when I look at the student achievement numbers and where they are, I think Buffalo and entire, Buffalo is not alone. Of course, there are many other places. It's also a place, a school like what I offer will be a perfect place to help, increase the level of STEM education. I think that's because what I offer is not offered in Buffalo. I feel that it's a perfect place so we can implement our program.
Okay, and when is the last time you visited Buffalo?
Just before COVID disease, no travel restriction applied, which is March 12th.
And how familiar are you with the education bargain in Buffalo Public Schools?
I spent almost 3 years before I submitted this project back and forth Buffalo. We have a team of people in Buffalo, and we have very strong support and advocate and also educators who are behind this program. But personally, I am the board chair, and I spend 3 years back and forth, quite often intensively, walked in the streets of Buffalo, met with people, parents. I don't think any other people will spend that much time walking around in the streets of Buffalo than any other person you will find.
What can you tell me about the education bargain?
What do you mean education bargain?
Okay. Well, it's the education bargain is really the priorities, the foundation that Buffalo Public Schools, the Board of Education, and the district operates on, and it has 6 major elements. And it's something that is well known in the city of Buffalo that's currently guiding education, public education in Buffalo. So I'm surprised that you're not too familiar with it. The last thing I just want to point out and have you clarified, it looks like over 5 years, your estimates show that $22.3 million will be the cost for Buffalo Public Schools, and $1.7 million of that will go directly to you and your charter management organization, and essentially leave the charter school that you're proposing for Buffalo and the city of Buffalo. Is that accurate?
if you're looking at those numbers from our charter application, I'm sure you provide the correct number. If it's from our application, I can pull up those numbers and look at it and confirm. But I'm sure that's correct. But it's not we are not a management organization. We are a partner organization. I want to make sure that the term are used properly. We are a management company. It's a nonprofit partner. We want to make sure that this program is set up properly and serve the children of Buffalo. And once it's in place, we step back and just let the local folks to continue serve our children there.
All right, one very last question, and then I'm done.
No problem. I mean, you can ask many questions.
So how come you don't have any folks that I assume are a part of your team from Buffalo that on this hearing right now?
To be honest with you, I wasn't sure. Maybe we have miscommunication. I was told that they will just myself would present this to the board and ask a quick Q&A. If I knew, I could have a lot of people on the call answer your questions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Anytime.
Thank you, Board Member Scott. Next up, I have Board Member Mikosi. Any questions, Ms. Mikosi?
No, I think Larry hit a bunch of the questions that I had, Mr. Scott, but I am curious, how, knowing that there's, the whole connection with Buffalo that's coming clear, what is your recruitment process, especially considering the diversity that we have in this district? My particular district in the West, we have the equivalent of 87 languages spoken in a couple high schools alone. How would you be, when you say all students, how are you recruiting, or what is your mechanism to recruit or be able to even work with these students if you were able to become a charter in our district?
Sure, I appreciate it. So I think you're referring to student recruitment, I assume. First and foremost, if this charter school is approved, we have a very robust, campaign of reaching out to parents and informing them, about the new proposed school with multiple languages. I'm aware of that. There are a lot of different languages are spoken there, and obviously it's gonna be depending on first and foremost defining facilities. That will determine. We will start from the neighboring neighborhood, which is wherever the school is going to be located, and then expand as much as we can to inform our parents. I mean, I have done charter school work 20 years, and I would say, obviously, I started my charter school adventure in Texas. And worked in many states, including Kansas City, Washington, D.C., Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, all other places. And we serve every students, every place. And every place that I personally conducted teacher recruitment efforts. And just to give you an example, in Texas, when I stepped down from my organization after 18 years, serving I had 34,000 students when I actually let me back up. I started a charter school in 2000, and 18 years later, when I stepped down from 200 kids, I went to 34,000 students, and serving like 55 locations and 4,000 employees. So we had over 25,000. In addition to 35,000 students, we had 25,000 people on our wait list. We actually really aggressively reach out almost every parent in the neighborhood. They know our school, they will know our program, and without hesitation. And we don't obviously we have to do lottery, and we will utilize every tool available for us to, whether social media, door-to-door canvassing. We'll go out, reach out to parents and inform them. And we are ready to serve. One school I have 90% African American, another school I have 90% Hispanic. I have schools in El Paso, Laredo, Brownsville, as well as the cities in I'm sorry, was there a question?
No,
sorry.
I think Please continue, Mr. Tarim.
Yeah, I thought somebody asked question. Sorry. So, I mean, I started school in Washington, D.C. It's one of the toughest place in terms of student enrollment. Lots of charter schools. City is split 50-50 charter as opposed to traditional school districts. I have done school in Memphis, Kansas City, helped set up high-performing schools. So I am very familiar with every region, every place that recruitment effort will be intense, and we'll reach out to everybody in the neighborhood.
I appreciate the response, and it definitely sounds impressive, the schools that you have. I'm just, I'm very concerned with Buffalo, and I just want to point out that, I'm not saying that our city is the best city of all cities, and even though that's exactly how I feel, but I will say that, Buffalo is very unique. And if you're going to open up a school where you're looking to service all students, we have many different issues around equity in our city that's hardcore. We have many different issues around gentrification that places students in different areas. There's a whole lot to consider when you consider all students. So I just wanted to make sure, your process isn't just if you're going to reach out only into the neighborhood where your school might be located, which is kind of where I thought you were going, and then you would expand from there. I would hope that you, encompassing all students as you claim, I would hope that you would encompass the city and try and figure out a strategy as a whole. And for that, you would have to kind of get to know what we're all about. So that was my question.
No, I appreciate that. So if I give you, obviously, I mean, my pledge to the parents and the people of Buffalo is we will utilize again every tools necessary to reach out to everybody. I mean, I don't want to be arrogant and say I know this, I have done this before, but reaching out and having a diverse school, especially these days, everybody benefits. I mean, I'm an immigrant. I came to this country 30 years ago, and so I understand. Certainly, not every immigrant needs, but I've gone through the same process, and I've done this in many cities, many places, almost more than a dozen of states. Again, all the states have unique features, culture. Even within city, like in Texas, El Paso is 12 hours away from Houston. I started in Houston. El Paso experience was quite different for me. It's a border town. I did school in Laredo, Brownsville, on the border. I've done school in Kansas City, Missouri, the toughest place that I've ever seen, Louisiana. So again, it's those experiences gave me a lot of. It was a learning lesson, and that's why when I say Buffalo is a perfect place, I can see a lot of diversity, a lot of new immigrants coming into Buffalo. And I understand that. We'll make sure that everyone is aware that they will have access to our school. If it's approved, obviously, if it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Board Member Terrence Hurd, followed by Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown and President Sharon Cartman.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Sonotarum. Just a couple of questions. The Royal Academy Charter School, how many are there in the country that's operational?
This is a new program. We don't have any operational school yet. This is a program that is stemmed from Harmony Public Schools in Texas that I started 20 years ago.
Okay, you started 20 years ago. So how many pilots have you had since the 20 years? Is this you said you had in Washington?
No, under royal name, I have done in Washington D.C., Memphis. Actually, when Dr. Cash was in Memphis, I started my one school there, and Memphis. I've done school in Arkansas, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I started school in Arkansas, Kansas City, Missouri. What else? Louisiana. I said. I think that's about it.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. You listed 5 different cities.
Yes.
Okay. Now I looked up a couple of other different Royal Academies. Are you affiliated with the ones like that's in Maine?
No, sir. No, not in Maine.
Not in Maine?
Not
Okay,
in Maine.
I'm just wondering, who your affiliations with, and you also stated that you came to Buffalo and you quite a few times. Who did you meet with in Buffalo? Who are your supporters here?
I mean, off the top of my head, I met a lot of people. I would say over 600 people that we had interaction with, families and people organization. I'm sorry?
You said 600?
Cool. Yes, sir. We did survey. We actually walk around neighborhoods. We open up tables. I mean, honestly, I provide the list along with the application. Some of the people that we met, I can, if you know them, I can open up my list and show you.
We know that our constituents are number one. That's our community, the families, and everything. But who else did you meet? It had to be someone that you met with. Do you meet with any senators here? Have you met with any assembly leaders? Have you met with anybody from the school board here or the superintendent? Have you met with the mayor? Have you met with our legislative councilmen and councilwomen?
No, sir. As an educator, I stay away from politics. In general, I try not to, involve. But we had, I had, of course, initiated after application is submitted. A good friend, a supporter of Harmon Public School, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is. I have 2 schools in her district. And she asked me if I needed an introduction to some of the people in Buffalo. This was very recently, and I said yes, ma'am. So I believe her office reached out to congressmen and several people that they are trying to set up meetings so that I can introduce our program. I mean, as I said, I had schools in 17 different cities in Texas. And I knew every congresswoman there because we have schools in their district. They would come to our school. And they will.
Off Mr. Tarum, but it seems that you met with over 600 people. And is there a list of families that you met with? Do you have a list that you can provide to us of the families that you met with?
I mean, if it's okay by the state, and if I'm not going to jeopardize the FERPA rule, I'm happy to provide that list. Yes, sir.
Okay, because as of right now, you haven't mentioned one name that's local here that you met with, and doesn't really add up to all the time.
I can tell you, first person that I met was head of the CAO, Mr. Dr. Hold on.
Name here. Hair.
No.
No.
Mr. Hold on. Just a second, sir. Okay, hold on.
Okay, Mr. Tarum, due to the time, I know that that we are on the clock right now. I have a couple other questions until you find that. It seems that that your charter says that you're starting off K-5 and you're looking to expand to the 12th grade. Why wouldn't you just put the whole charter into 12th grade?
Actually, it's K-5. No, we are not. Even initially, we're not. Our charter calls for K-5, sir.
Yeah, I'm reading your webpage, and it says that we plan to add additional grades each year and ultimately serve grades K through 12.
Yeah, so we want to add, 1 grade each year during our charter term for first 5 years. And obviously, if you're successful, if you're successful within the charter term first 5 years, certainly I guarantee you, parents and community will want us to expand to 6th grade because they don't want they want the children to continue uninterrupted education. Ultimately, of course, I want to make sure that those continue receive services from our school. And then at that point, we will apply for middle high school. But right now, our plan is K-5.
but it says it right here wide openly that it's K through 12. Do you feel that, or do you have any disparities or any concerns about it being a hardship on the Buffalo Public School District about putting a K through 12 school here in the city of Buffalo?
I'm sorry, sir.
Do you have any concerns that it might be a hardship on the Buffalo Public School District by applying and later on imposing a plan to have a K through 12 program here in Buffalo?
I mean, again, charter schools is an option. It's a choice for parents. So when it's the hardship, obviously, I mean, there's a pros and cons on having charter school. I certainly understand that. And if the children are not being educated, not just public schools, but the charter schools too. I looked at some of the charter schools are struggling, and they're in a difficult time. So as well as some schools in the area. So what I propose is a high quality education. It's unique to what I offer, and if parent chooses to come, and I think there'll be some hardship on school system, any schools, whether it's a private school.
You don't have any concerns about the hardship that it is on the Buffalo Public Schools District.
I mean, again, it's
here in New York State anyway.
I mean, again, it's up to the parents to make a decision, and those are the taxpayers who will make a right decision for their children.
Okay. What location are you proposing in Buffalo?
We have not identified any location at this time. We looked at multiple sites, some of them being the former charter school facilities, but it's too premature to really look for a facility until we were approved.
So are you blindly just trying to put a program here in Buffalo without a location and without having a realistic goal about meeting with people and leaders here in Buffalo to push it?
I wouldn't phrase it as a blindly because if you're running a charter school, opening a charter school, and you cannot sign a contract, you cannot sign anything until you're approved. It'll be cumbersome for any operator to actually find a place, then apply a charter school. That doesn't work in the charter school application process.
Okay. Are you aware that when you open a business up in Buffalo that you have to have community meetings? Have you had any community meetings here?
Yes, sir. We had so many community meetings. Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was your community meetings held at?
I mean, I can provide a list. The list of it's long. Again,
we're very willing to see the list. I mean, as of right now, you came with no other presenters, and it seems like you're by yourself. I don't want to bash or anything, but given the appearance that you're here alone, and we can't provide any other people that's in Buffalo that you spoke with or had met with. And we love to see a list of people, or love to see the list of the community meetings that you did have, because it's the law here in Buffalo about when you open up a business about having community meetings and meeting with the people.
Yes, sir. As I said, we provide the list to the Charter School Commission, the region, Charter School Commission actually, and if legally, if we're not going to breach their privacy, I'm happy to provide the list. I don't mind. I mean, we were there, did meetings, met with people. This was obviously prior to COVID. I would say about 6 months ago, and a lot of time passed by. But this is not a new adventure. I've been going back and forth Buffalo almost 3 years now.
But we don't have any information about that. One more question is: do you know the number or percentage of students that attend charter schools in the city of Buffalo?
It's about, I believe, 10,000 around. 10,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, you have the floor.
I have one question. Thank you, Dr. Taran, for...
Sonner.
Okay, Sonner, Dr. Sonner. Teacher diversity, what is your stance on teacher diversity? And you know, particularly if you're looking at serving minority students, and if so, how would you go about? If not, how would you go about recruiting increased minority teachers?
I mean, it's first when any given place, any given city, when you do a charter school, one of the things that my philosophy is to make sure that we hire faculty and staff that represents the student body. I think that's, to me, it's very critical and important. So I mean, when you have a diverse faculty, you will definitely will be more successful. We want to make sure that in hiring practices, we basically work with teachers and administrators that can understand and spend extra time to make sure that diversity is in place in faculty body as well as in administration.
What about recruiting teachers? You don't have them.
No, we don't have teachers. Yes, ma'am. I mean, we cannot, as I mentioned, prior to approval of charter, we don't recruit teachers. We cannot recruit, find facilities or sign lease, anything. It doesn't happen until charter is approved. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
President Belton Cotman, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, and I'll be very brief. I don't really have a statement or a question. What I do have is an observation, and it is, and I want it to be listed in the record to the state, is that at three charter organizations who basically said that Buffalo for the picking, and this is why they have come to Buffalo. The people you have met with, Dr. Sonner, are people who are charter school proponents, and as such, I am often reminded of what happened in Africa. The slaves, people were being captured to become slaves. They did not hesitate to use Africans part of the selling of the masses as well. I sit and I look at the data and the costs associated with the charters, the fact that they are not presently fully enrolled, at the hardship that it is costing our district. It is not that this position of concern or rejection is directed at you particularly, but it is directed at all new charter schools that are trying to come into Buffalo. Continue to allow our students or our district to die from small cuts past the stop. And there has to be a threshold, and we've reached it. And what has happened in New York City is that they have put a moratorium on charter schools. And we are approaching upwards of 22% of current student population to be charter schools. Charter schools that are where public money is being used fund private organizations. And in most part, the parents do not have a say. They give them an ornamental seat on the board, and then they think that they have a say, but they are always returning their children back to Buffalo Public Schools. So in order for us to save our district, we have to take a serious position in regards to this, because we cannot continue. The guideline was at max, there should be 16 schools in Buffalo. And that's when we had upwards of 64 schools. We are oversaturated with charter schools at this point. And moving forward, we have to protect this district. And that's what I'm on record for. I need that to be a part of the permanent record sent to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kottman. I have a few questions myself, though mine are more simple. Mr. Treem, is your board volunteered or paid?
Volunteer, sir.
Okay. Are you going to offer transportation for your students?
I mean, there's the interruption a little bit every other second. Would you repeat again, sir?
Absolutely. Transportation, will you be offering transportation for your students?
I think we're going to work with the Buffalo City Schools to provide transportation, sir.
Okay, all right. The other thing is that many of our charter schools have tremendous amounts of dollars in reserve in response to oftentimes it exceeds what their annual operating budget is. So I just want to know what percentage of dollars that you were going to mandate that go into instruction. We want to make sure that if approved, those dollars go into the classroom, not into a bank account. Kind of building off what Board Member Scott did. And also about policy about your reserves, what would you think a healthy reserve would be for your school?
I would say healthy reserve is 90 days of operation. I think that's an ideal reserve, which I always keep, 3 months, 90-day, cash. That's about it. And we do invest almost all of money in education. So we want to make, I'm very conscious about that, sir, and try to operate leanest budget always. That's what goal. But what I would really, I certainly understand your board position being, Buffalo City School being affected by, any other charter addition or loss of students. I would echo that in terms of finances being very important, but at the same time, I see that there is a lot of always misuse of funds, public funds. I think that's, to me, is a place to look for, saving any dollars for kids, for public students.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? If not, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Bullock.
Thank you, Board. Dr. Stoner, so a couple of the board members have asked that you provide listings of the various organizations, politicians, community groups that you've worked with. If you could please send that to Dr. Chisholm. You have her email, and we will then provide that information to the board. If there's anything else you think that the board ought to hear or see about your school, again, please put that in with Dr. Chisholm. And for the record, I do want to state one of the things that you were supposed to supply is a list of speakers. So while we did not, maybe we were not explicit in saying that you could bring a team, we certainly asked if there was going to be anybody presenting with you that you provide a listing of their names. All of our public hearings for charter schools typically have teams. And so I did want to make that clear that wasn't a listing from our office. But again, and also lastly, please send any questions or concerns regarding this hearing to Dr. Chisholm. And again, we will make sure that the board is able to get the materials you want them to have. To my colleagues on the board, I would also extend that to you. If there are additional questions or concerns, additional data points that you want Dr. Sonar to provide, if you let myself or Dr. Chisholm know, we'll get them to you as soon as we can.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Bullock. And as I said, I don't mind providing any names as long as it's okay by those people. We'll definitely supply you with list organizations that we have engaged and spoke over the course of several years.
The information is supposed to be part of a public record that you are supposed to provide.
We did, yes, ma'am. We did provide a list of almost everybody that we spoke, date and time, and the content of the conversation. Again, if it's public information, I'm sure that board can access that because I did provide that information. It's not the secret that I keep. We provided to New York State.
It's fine, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, this concludes the hearing regarding the charter school for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.